Psalm 58. To the chief musician, Altaskith, Miktam of David. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth.
What happens when ICE hires agents with minimal screening, then sends them into the streets, masked and armed? We look now at the agency's hiring practices as it surges agents to Minneapolis and other cities. We begin with an independent journalist who applied for an ICE job and was offered it without even a background check. Laura Jadid wrote about her experience in a piece published Tuesday by Slate magazine headlined, "You've heard about who ICE is recruiting. The truth is far worse. I'm the proof," was the headline. She begins her piece, "The plan was never to become an ICE agent. The plan when I went to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Career Expo in Texas last August was to learn what it was like to apply to be an ICE agent. Who wouldn't be curious?" she said. Laura Jadid joins us now from Portland, Oregon. Laura, would you take it from there? Explain what exactly you did, what this fair was, and then how you applied to work for ICE and what happened.
Absolutely. So the hiring event, basically, you brought your resume in, you handed it over, they were going to do an interview, and they were promising on-the-spot hiring to where you could, in fact, walk out with your $50,000 bonus that day, possibly. I went in, I handed in my resume, which was, I did a skills-based resume. I'm a veteran. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. So on the surface, the resume looked pretty good. Had a very brief interview, took all of 6 minutes. They didn't ask very many questions. And then I left, assuming I would never hear back, because I'm a very Googleable person. I have an unusual name. I'm the only Laura Jadid on the internet. And I make no secret of how I feel about ICE and Trump and all of it. So I was not expecting several days later to receive a tentative offer. I missed it in my inbox and it sunk to the bottom, which means that I never filled out the paperwork they requested. I never accepted the tentative offer. I never filled out my background check paperwork. I never signed the affidavit saying I'd committed no domestic violence crimes, none of it. A few weeks later, I got a message from LabCorp saying that ICE wanted me to do a drug test, and I went ahead and did that. I was pretty sure I wouldn't pass. I'd partaken in legal cannabis 6 days before the test, but why not waste some of their money, right? And then 9 days after that, I decided I wanted to, I was curious, had they processed the drug test yet? So I logged onto the ICE hiring portal, and what I found was that not only did the drug test not seem to be relevant, I was listed as having joined ICE as of 3 days earlier. I had listed that I had accepted the offer. They had offered me a final position as a deportation officer. My background check was listed as completed 3 days in the future from when I was looking at it. So it seems like the answer to the question, who are they hiring, is they don't know.
Wow. You write in the piece, "At first glance, my resume has enough to tantalize a recruiter for America's Gestapo in waiting." You're likening ICE to the Gestapo?
What powers did the Gestapo have? Have you ever wondered how a government can maintain such tight control over its citizens? One of the most notorious examples of this is the Gestapo, or secret state police, in Nazi Germany. Understanding the powers of the Gestapo reveals how totalitarian regimes operate to suppress dissent and maintain authority. The Gestapo was established as a centralized political police force. Its main job was to identify and eliminate any threats to the Nazi state. This included anyone who opposed the regime, held different beliefs, or belonged to groups deemed undesirable, like Jews and other minorities. One of the most alarming powers the Gestapo had was the ability to investigate and arrest people without needing a judicial warrant. They could conduct searches and seizures based solely on suspicion or reports from the public. This meant that anyone could be targeted without any legal protections. Another terrifying aspect of the Gestapo's authority was their ability to place individuals in what they called protective custody. This allowed them to detain people without any legal process. Those in protective custody could not appeal their detention or seek legal help, giving the Gestapo complete control over their lives. The Gestapo was also infamous for its brutal interrogation methods. They often used torture to extract information from detainees. These harsh tactics were designed to intimidate and break down any opposition to the regime. Additionally, the Gestapo had the power to deport individuals directly to concentration camps. These camps were places of forced labor, starvation, and often death. This practice was a key part of the Holocaust and the systematic persecution of minority groups. In the context of totalitarianism, the Gestapo's powers were essential for maintaining control over society. By instilling fear and suppressing dissent, they ensured that opposition to the Nazi regime was minimal. The use of denunciations, where citizens reported suspicious behavior, further entrenched this control by turning the population against itself. The role of the Gestapo in Nazi Germany serves as a stark example of how totalitarian regimes utilize secret police forces to enforce their ideologies and maintain power. By granting such forces unchecked authority, these regimes can effectively suppress opposition and create a climate of fear that reinforces their control.
You're likening ICE to the Gestapo?
Absolutely. And I don't think that's in any way hyperbole. We have armed, masked thugs on our street right now who are brutalizing, detaining, and murdering people with apparent impunity, a carte blanche, a license to kill from our government. And they can't even keep track of who's behind the masks. I don't believe for a second they're keeping track of who's a U.S. citizen, who needs to be deported, where these people even are. These disappearances where people vanish into the system, is it on purpose, or are they really that sloppy with paperwork? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. This constitutes a national emergency. We have unknown armed thugs in masks who are terrorizing citizens.
Chapter 21. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face toward Jerusalem, and drop thy word toward the holy places, and prophesy against the land of Israel, and say to the land of Israel, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I am against thee, and will draw forth my sword out of his sheath, and it will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. Seeing then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked, therefore shall my sword go forth out of his sheath against all flesh, from the south to the north, that all flesh may know that I, the Lord, have drawn forth my sword out of his sheath. It shall not return any more. Sigh therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and with bitterness sigh before their eyes. And it shall be, when they say unto thee, Wherefore sighest thou? That thou shalt answer, For the tidings. Because it cometh, and every heart shall melt, and all hands shall be feeble, and every spirit shall faint, and all knees shall be weak as water. Behold, it cometh, and shall be brought to pass, saith the Lord God. Again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord, Say a sword is sharpened, and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son, as every tree. And he hath given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, to give it into the hand of the slayer. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people, it shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh, because it is a trial.